Right, hello, this is a tutorial for how to make a simple candle house. This is a finished model. As you can see, it's hollow all the way up. Obviously we don't want a ceiling there because A, it won't print properly because it's going to be a massive overhang, and also we want the light from the candle to go out of the top windows like that. Behind it, exactly the same thing, but I've ungrouped it just so you can see some of the separate components. Right, to start off with, we need a box. So we're going to grab a box. I'm going to make it 50 by 50. Little tip here, if you hold down shift, then click the corner, when you type in 50, it will fill in the other box for you, which is a little bit of a handy shortcut. I'm going to make the box 40mm tall. I think it just looks better that way, but you can decide whatever height you like. We need to make this box hollow, so we're going to create a hole a little bit smaller than this box. To do that, well, I want my walls to be 2mm thick. I don't want to use too much filament, so we're going to make the hole in the middle 46mm by 46mm. So I'm going to duplicate this, which is Control D, and then I'm going to do another little shortcut here. If you hold down Shift and Alt at the same time and then click a corner, Shift, Alt, and then click. This is the duplicated one. We're going to click 46, and it's actually created another shape inside. We're going to pull it up so it pokes out of the top. So you can see we've created that other one there. That flashing sort of pattern tells us that the other shape is in line with the other one. We're going to turn it into a hole like that, and we can actually just, for ease of so you can see what you're doing a bit better, I've brought it down exactly in level with that. So the next thing we need to do is create a hole, a roof-shaped hole essentially. That's going to line up exactly with this hole here. So we're going to grab a roof. In fact, what we're going to do first of all is change the work plane, place the work plane on top of the surface we want to be working on. It's just a bit easier. So we do that, we grab our roof, and we can pop it down, and we'll resize it so it is 46 by 46. So we're going to hold down Shift again, click 46. And we can use the Align tool here to match that up exactly. So I'm going to go hold down Shift, and then to select the two things we want to align it with. It's actually aligning with the outside of the shape there, but that's fine. So we're going to click on the Align tool. Now a little tip here: sometimes when you try and move the Align tool, it will. If I do this, can you see it's moved everything across, which I don't really want it to do. So to stop it moving everything, once we've selected them again, I'll do it again. So you do click and hold down Shift, press Align, and then you just select the shape that you do not want to move. So we can click on this, and now when we align it, it's only going to move the roof section, which is handy. We don't actually need to do it this side. You can see it's gone grey because this is already aligned here. So this will be a hole in the middle. We can make that a hole now actually. We click on it and we turn it into a hole. We're just going to check the height. I think I made it 30. Height wants to be 30. We'll do that. Make the height 30, and we're going to make it into a hole. Again, you can change the height of the hole and the roof to your preference, but 30 just I thought looks all right. So we're going to turn that into a hole. We now need to create the roof that's going over this hole. So we're going to duplicate this hole, Control D, and we're going to resize it. Now again, if you hold down to resize something so it grows out like from the center, hold down Shift and Alt at the same time, and you'll see that it gets larger. Now I want a 2mm overhang at the edge of the roof because I quite like the way it looks with a bit of an overhang there. It will print okay. I've tested this, and it will handle a 2mm overhang. You won't have any problems with that, and you won't need supports. This whole model is designed to print without supports. Okay, so let's do that. So if we want it to be 2mm, the roof 2mm wide at either side, we need to make the roof 54mm, don't we? Because this bottom shape here is 50. 50 plus 2 plus another 2 is 54. So we're going to take our roof hole, hold down Shift, hold down Alt, and then we're going to click on those dimensions now and type in 54. It should, there we go, resize nice and evenly, and you can see that has a good thickness there. The roof's a nice thick. This is when it prints the actual roof shape. You can see there it's quite steep, so it will manage that. We're now going to turn that into a solid shape because we want our roof to be solid. I'm actually going to group everything at the end, all the other shapes. But just so you can see what that will look like, I will just do it now and then undo it. So we're going to highlight everything. Did that work? Come on. Let's try and then group it all together. Yeah, and you can see it's all hollow shape right up to the top. So I'm just going to undo that just a second. Control Z. And we've got our two shapes. So the first thing, you can do this any particular order you want, but I'm going to do the door step first. So we're going to go and get a box. You could always put the work plane on the surface on this one here if you wanted. It doesn't really matter. Or you could actually, if you want to return the work plane to the normal position, if you just click it and then click on any white space here, it goes back to normal. Well, we may as well just put it on that work plane actually. So just resize it to the size that you want it. I reckon we should try. What does 10mm look like? Maybe 8. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. You could always make these into steps if you wanted as well, if you wanted a bit of an extra challenge. And then just resize it to whatever you want. We'll just keep it the same as mine just for this purpose. So I did it at 18mm. So you want to click along that axis, change it to 18. There we go. And whatever height you want. I think I went for 3mm. You know, 1mm, 2mm, 3mm will work fine. That looks all right. How wide is the other one? Let's have a look. I think it goes in a bit more there. That's 6mm. Let's make it 6mm deep. 6. There we go. Did I say it was 19? Have I done that correctly? Let's do a quick check. Oh, 18. Thought that was wrong. Right, there we go. Again, you can just position this exactly where you want. You could have a central door if you wanted, in which case you'd also just move that along. When you are moving things on the work plane, rather than using the mouse all the time and clicking and dragging, it's quite handy to use the keypad. So to move this across, I'm going to change the snap grid to 1mm. You can see I'm just moving along like that. It's just a bit more precise. Okay, so that's good. Now we're going to create a door. Now I've tested the overhang on this door, and it's got its square top, but that is absolutely fine. It will print correctly. So this one here, I've gone for a that's actually the hole. It's 20mm deep, not wide. So I went for 14mm wide door, 14 by 22. But again, you can kind of do it however you want. Let's go for 14 by 22 anyway, though. So I think, yeah, I'm going to do it here. So we're going to go 14 wide by 22 tall. Doesn't really matter how deep it is because it's going to be a hole, but you can make it have whatever depth you want. You can see obviously the hole at the moment it's too low because it's. I'm going to raise it up so it's in line with the top of the step, which is 3mm. Told us there it's 3mm. If you want to line it with the step, click it, hold down Shift, click on the step, and we can use our align tool. If we don't want the step to move, remember you click on the step, and then you just do that, which is fine. So that's our basic door shape. I'm just going to check that's gone all the way through. Yeah, look at that, it's massive. Yeah, almost too big, but that's fine. It doesn't really matter. So let's make it a tiny bit. It's a bit easier to see sometimes when the holes aren't massive. So that's our front door section. I've then got a sort of semicircle hole above the top. So I will go for. Might change the work plane. Let's change the work plane so we're actually working on this surface here. And we'll go for a round roof shape. Obviously, it's the wrong orientation there, so we're going to click on the rotation. Now a little tip for when you're rotating something, if you rotate it within this circle, it will snap to common yeah, common degrees, so 45 degrees, 90 degrees. If you do it outside, it will enable you to do more precise degrees. You can also click in this box and just type it in, but I'm going to move it to 90 degrees like that, which is fine. Now I want it to be the same width as the door, which was, I think it's 14, wasn't it? Yep. So let's make it 14 wide. Now I'm going to hold it to keep the right proportions. You can actually hold down Shift as you do this. Type in 14, and it will change the proportions, so it's nice. Again, you can align that with the door, same method as before. Align tool, click on the shape you don't want to move, that one there. Click on it like that, and you see it does line up exactly. It doesn't need to be this long. It doesn't matter what sort of its length as it's a hole, but let's just so it's a bit easy to see. We can do that. You could have a hole like this. You could have a rounded door, which is fine, but I quite like this on my design, having a gap, having a thing going across at the top of the door. So to do that, I'm just going to click on it and then move it up using the my snap grids on 1mm, so I can just move it up like that. So about 3mm would be fine. 2 would probably work as well. That's all good. Let's see what I did. What do I do from that one there? Yeah, that's about 3. Right. So that's the door section, the door hole done. We'll do the actual door itself a bit later. We'll probably do that last thing. So next we're going to do these windows here. Now to do that, we're going to we need to go onto a different menu, because can you see they're slightly rounded. I quite like, rather than just having sharp windows, I like this rounded sort of effect. So you will find those in another menu, which is this. Go click on this menu here, and we'll go to shape generators, all. It should load that in a second. My internet's a little bit slow. The sound that you're hearing, by the way, is the it's almost finished actually. The printed version, the actual print of this candle house. Okay, I was thinking about it. Pretty sure it's a few pages long. There are loads and loads of these. Really worth exploring through each of these menus, because lots of these are really useful. Let's go to 5. I think there's one called Rounded Cube. Menu 6. Not that one. Oh, I can hear that the print has finished. There it is. All right, 10. Here we are. Rounded Cube. Marvelous. Got there in the end. So we'll grab one rounded cube. Actually, I believe I did this on the normal work plane. Doesn't really matter, but let's just do that. We're going to resize it. I got a ruler and decided about 5mm holes. What looks pretty good. So we could actually do Control. Sorry, not Control. We can do Shift, Alt, Tab, and if we wrote 5, it should make it 5 in all directions. Now the roundness of this was a little bit overly round with that one. So all I did was reduce the corner radius. It's at 5 at the moment, so I think I tried it at let's try it 3. I think I went for in the end. There you are. This is a little bit less rounded. That kind of worked quite well for me. Is it sort of hovering in the air right now? Let's put it on the ground, just so it's a bit easy to work with. There we go. Right, I'm going to do all 4 of these together and then group them as one object rather than placing them individually, because that's a bit fiddly. So we're going to click on it, Control D, and I've got my snap grid there, so I can move it on set to 1, and I can use the keys to move it across. And I think I went for 3mm gap between each of them. Whatever you think looks good, that's fine. That'll do. 2 would work as well, but 3 is fine. What was that actually? Yeah, well, that kind of is. Let's stick to that. I like the way that looks. So we're then going to duplicate these together. Control D, and then move them up. So obviously if it's 5, because they're 5mm tall, it'd be exactly in line with the top. And then I think it was 2 this time, wasn't it? So we go 1, 2. So that's nice and square. Now we want these to push all the way through the walls. It would do that, but we can actually, just to make it a little bit easier, we can make these a bit longer. Just make sure we're selecting the things that we want to select and not the other bits and pieces. Shift. So actually, good way to select multiple objects. Click on them, hold down Shift, keep it hold of Shift, select all the objects. I'm now going to make it a bit longer like that. And we're going to turn it into a hole and group them together as one thing. I shouldn't have deselected them. Got the whole lot. Group. There we go. And we can turn those into holes like that, and then position them on the wall. So I want to move it up. You can just do this by eye. There's no sort of set way of doing this. Set height, whatever you think looks good. Hello, Control Z. Very useful tool, Control Z. Use it all the time. Control Z undo. To undo, let's say you to undo you do Control Y. That's not quite anything. Okay, that's not bad. How does it compare to the other one? Let's make it exactly in line if we're going to do it. Let's do it like that. Move it down just to maybe a millimetre or so. Because my snap grid's on 1 millimetre, it's moving in millimetre increments. Alright, that's that bit done. Oh, we could do this last, but as we're on this surface now, let's just give it if you want to give it a name, you want to go to text. And a little shortcut here. Let's put the work plane on that thing there. Grab the text. Obviously, it's massive. We can resize that in a minute. I'll just call my North House, a very original name. North Horse. No, that's because I'm looking out and there's a horse in the orchard where I live. Right. Resize that to keep it in. If you just did it free resize, you might end up getting squishy letters like that. So if you hold down Shift as you do it, it keeps everything in the right scale. Okay, God, it's still huge. Hold down Shift again, keeps in Control like that. You can also change the increments on the snap grid as you resize stuff to make it. There we are. That's pretty good. Now I don't want it to go in a whole millimetre, because the walls are only, if you remember, only 2 millimetres thick. So I'm just going to push it in 0.5 millimetres. Actually, my snap grid is helpfully already at 0.5. I'm going to turn them into holes, move it in 0.5 millimetres, and you should see it says 0.5. There we go. That's done. Easy peasy. Right. We're going to make some more windows. You can see, actually, I haven't shown you the back yet. I went for this arrangement on the back there, so you get lots of light out the back. So let's put that one on the opposite, on the next side of the wall. So we're going to go duplicate again. That was Control D, of course. We can also change the snap grid to, we can make it 5 millimeters if you want to really do it quickly. I want it to stay at the same height, so I'm going to do this. And now, of course, we need to rotate it 90 degrees. Again, hold this down, move it inside there, and it will snap to the common things. If you want to line it up, again, we can use the align tool. So you select the two objects you want to align, click on align, click on the one that you don't want to move, that one there, and that has now made that central. Now we could, I'm not sure, has that gone all the way through? I think it has, but just to be sure, I'm going to push it in. Let's change the work plane because I quite like doing it this way. Push it in, so that's definitely gone through. So of course, its snap goes on 5 millimeters still. Right, 1 millimeter. If you want exactly the same on the opposite side, like I've done, in fact, no, I might do that later. I might do it all in one go. Now I want to have another semicircle hole above these, so I'm actually going to recycle the one I've got there. Control D. Oh, it's miles away. I'll tell you what, we might just do that another way. Let's do it with the Let's put the work plane back to normal and move it across like that. There he is, and we're going to turn it around 90 degrees and push it back so it's in line with the work plane. Again, I should put this one back on. Put it back on the wall there. Doo-doo-doo. And it goes. That's in line. It's got that weird pattern there. And again, you can use the align tool. Oh, one thing you'll notice though, it's a little bit wider, isn't it, than these ones here. So these were 5 and 5 with a gap of 2mm, which if you make it 12mm wide, that's at 14 at the moment. Again, I clicked on shift to keep it all in proportion. We go 12, like that. And put it the height you want it. I think probably, oh, I know it's snap grids. At the wrong size, it's at 5mm, isn't it? Let's turn that back down to 1mm. That looks pretty good. Happy with that. I'm pretty sure that's aligned. If in doubt, you can align it with this one by selecting them. Select align. Click the one that you don't want to move, which is that one, and then we can just do that, and it's moved across nice and central. All right. Check that that's gone all that. Now you can see that's not gone all the way through the wall there because it's got that pattern there. So we're going to make it a bit thicker. Oh no, I need to do it the other way, don't I? I'll make it, pull it out there and then push it back in so we know it's gone in at least 2mm. And then I can make it, yeah, that'll do. I can make it even wider. Alright, so we can now copy these. We could make those one component, but for now, I'm just going to select both this and these 4 windows. So that, and then hold down shift, click that. Duplicate them, Control D, and because we're still on the work planes here, we can push them back like this, all the way through the middle, and then go out the other way, and then push it back in, just so we know that the holes have gone all the way through, so that'll be fine. So they'll go all the way through. Marvellous. And then on the back, we need to do the other windows. You could use cylindrical windows if you wanted, or copy this one over, but on my one I just used 3 copies of this, of the 4 little panes there. So we're going to go Control D. I might change the work plane to here, and then move the copied ones. They're miles away. Are they over there? Did that before. Right, let's put the work plane back to normal. There we go. Of course, we'll need to make them rotate them 90 degrees again. I think the height is the same. Yep, and then we can put those. Actually, no, I don't want them to go in the center door. I want them to go in the left corners. So you can kind of I'll push it in a little bit to make it a bit easier to see. So let's well, you don't have to change the work plane. You can do it like this. And then I'm holding down the scroll wheel there. And just position them to wherever you. Oh, it's putting them out now. Let's use the mouse instead then. Let's just put the work plane on there. Makes it a bit easier to deal with. There we go. About 1 there. Doesn't really matter how you do it. Want another one? Sort of diagonally the opposite side. Control D. You could use the mouse if you want to move it. Move your copy across. If you want to be exact. Sometimes in these models, if you make everything too exact and symmetrical, it doesn't look quite as artistic. All right, and then on the top one, I've got to put another 4 windows at the top. So again, we could just do 1 more copy. Go Control D. Move it up. This one probably would look a bit silly if it wasn't central. So it might well be central, just so you can see how it works. Let's just do it like this. Let's do it like that. Align tool. We don't want that one to move, so we're going to click on that. And then let's put it bang in the middle, which is rather nice. Oh, I think I might go over maybe 1 more notch. Alright, that's good. So that's all the windows in. Next step will be to put in the door. Now I think, actually no, I'm going to do this top window next. So we're going to go for going to put the work plane onto this bit of the roof. Basic shapes. Cylindrical hole. One thing you see, these the sort of standard one is 20 sides, and it actually, if you particularly if you're printing a large one, you can actually see these. Essentially, it's a polygon. So I like to make it. I quite often make it 48 sides, just to make it look a bit smoother. I'm gonna hold down Shift to make it the size that you want, and we can again. I think probably we'll align this centrally. Will look better. So just like we did on the last one, you click on that, you click on the thing you want to align it to, go for align, click on the thing you don't want to move, which is that one, and there it is, and it's right in the center, and you can make it the height that you want just by going up. I reckon about there looks good. Now you can see it's actually not pushed all the way through because you've got this pattern, so we'll make sure we push it in a bit to be sure that that's going to cut through the whole thing. Yep, that's good. Right, so we're now going to group all of this together because I want to put the door in separately as a separate component. So let's do this. Let's group the whole lot together. I might put the work plane back normal before we do that. Group. Sometimes it takes a bit of a while if you've got a bit of a slower connection. There we are. Look at that. Not bad at all. All right, so we're going to make. Oh, that's interesting. What's going on here? Is a little. I think. Some kind of artifact there. I'm not sure what that is. No, that's fine. Doesn't matter. Let's put the door in. So the original door height was it 22 off the top of my head? I can't remember how tall it was. 22, I think it was. Yeah, 22, and the hole was 14, wasn't it? So we're going to make a door, 22 by 14, just with a cube. 22 by 14. Right. And you can make the door as thick as you choose a thickness. I expect probably a couple of, you wouldn't want more than a couple of millimeters. Let's move them out a little bit. Let's make it, yeah, maybe 1.5, maybe 1.5. So we'll do 1.5 like that. Obviously the door now is, oh yeah, I want to have, because the candle's going to be in this, I'd quite like to see a bit of light coming out of the door as well. I don't want it to block too much. So I'm going to put in a hole there as well. So to do that, it's dead easy. Bring the work plane over there, grab a cylinder. Because this is going to print really small, you don't really need to change the number of sides because it's, it's really, really small. But you can just make it whatever size you want. Move it roughly in position, and then again using the line tool, get it looking central. In fact, it needs to be a bit smaller than that. Click on it, hold down Shift, click on that, click on that. We don't want the door to move, so we click on the door, and then we align it like that. We may as well group that together now, actually. Let's just do it. Select that, select those two things, group them together. You've got to door the hole in. We now need to move the door up a little bit because it's sat right on the bottom of the work plane now, and obviously the step is 3 millimeters tall, so we're going to click on the door and raise it up 1, 2, 3 millimeters, and then you can kind of manually put it in place. Now, so we want to rotate the door, obviously, because you don't want it just to be blocked up like that. So you can hold down this and just rotate it by whatever amount you want. Obviously, if you want to go out, this is when going on the outside of the protractor tool can come in handy because you can be a bit more precise with how wide you want to make it. Let's have a look at that. That looks okay, not too bad, maybe like that. So it looks a bit silly. I want the actual door edge to line up with the thing here, so we're going to move it across. You might want to change the snap grid to make that, to get that really exact. Also, I don't want any gaps there. In fact, I'm going to go inside the building. It's pretty cool. And we'll move it back like that, and in so it matches up. So that's our door. That is looking pretty good. Might actually be worth moving that. Do you know what? I'm going to ungroup this and move that central thing across because now I've put it in position. It's not quite happy unless. Let's put it out this way. How's that? I like that. Looks a bit better. What's it like on the other side? Go in the building. Okay, actually, maybe this bit's a little bit fiddly, but yeah, I'm going to ungroup it just to move that hole across. So we're going to click on that, ungroup, set the work plane actually to the door itself. And I'm just going to move it across. It's all on the snap grid, 0.5. That's better. I prefer, that looks nice now. So there we go. That's that. That pretty much. We're pretty much there. Right. Let's make these roof slats. So first thing, get the work plane, put it on the roof, like that. You can see it's that angle. We're then going to make. I'm going to change my snap grid actually to 1mm. This makes it a bit easy to line things up. I don't want the slats, these little grooves, to go all the way to the end because I don't think it would look very good. So I'm just, well, this is, yeah, I'm leaving about 2mm gap there. You can leave whatever gap you want. I might go for 3mm. And then I'm going to do the same, pull this out so it does the same on the other side. So it's at 1mm there. So 1, 2, 3. They don't need to be very thick at all, these grooves. Let's make them not. I'm making mine 0.5. Anything between like 0.4 and 0.8 would be all right. It's a bit tall there. Don't need it to be that tall. Let's just make it 4mm. 4mm tall. Be all right. That really doesn't matter. It's just a bit easier to see what you're doing if it's not too long. So we're gonna then we need to duplicate a bunch of these. So we're gonna click on it. Control D. Now, a very cool thing. If we change our snap grid to 5mm, because I want them to be 5mm apart, you just press the down arrow and it will do it like that. And this is clever. If you press Control D again, you'll see it's remembered the last thing you did and it's done another 5mm. So you literally have to keep doing. All we have to do is keep pressing Control D, and it's put the slats in for you. Easy peasy. Right. Now I'm going to select all of these and make them group them together. So hold down Shift, go along selecting each one like this, make them a group. And that bottom one looks a little bit thinner, a little bit more narrow than this one here, so I'm just going to move them up like where it's not 5mm. Let's change that back to 1mm. That looks good. That's better. Now to do the other side, you could do exactly the same thing process again. There's another little thing that's marginally quicker but a little bit fiddly. I'll show you how to do that. So we can mirror this one. So I've put the work plane. This only works if the work plane is back to the normal position. I'm going to go Control D to make a copy, duplicate, Control D, and then we're going to press M for mirror, and these come up. We want to mirror in this axis here, in the X-axis, like this, and then we need to move it across. So you can use 1mm, that's fine. This bit's a little bit fiddly because the geometry of the roof, it doesn't line up exactly using the 1mm snap grid. So can you see? You both see there's a little bit of daylight still between them. So I'm going to go to 0.1mm and get it really precise. I'm using the arrow keys. This is when using the arrow keys on the keyboard really comes into its own because it's much more precise than trying to use a mouse. So you can see that is on the that's on the outside, that's on the in, that's now going in. We can actually get even more precise by just going to the snap grid off. Got it, and it's actually, so that's in, that's pretty much exactly in line with it. In fact, it's doing that little pattern there, so we know that is exactly resting on the surface. We then want to put those in. I've gone for 0.5mm pushing these slats in because we don't want to go too deep, obviously, because the roof itself is about 2mm thick, and we certainly don't want to go all the way through the. What if I ungroup them? I didn't need to do that. Control Z. Let's put the work plane on here. And then let's push this in 0.5mm. So I'm going to change the snap grid to 0.5. Click that, drag it down to 0.5mm. Same on the other side. Remember, these are still grouped together. You need to change the work plane, obviously, because otherwise you'll be trying to push in at a really weird angle and it won't work. So you change the work plane. You can see there's that thing there, 0.5. So those are both at 0.5. I'm going to put the work plane back to normal by clicking on the white area. Then, oh, some good graphics card glitch there. Select everything, group it together. It goes red means it's thinking about it, so don't worry if it does that. Sometimes the more complex a model gets, the longer it will take to group all these bits together. See, now that's worked. So, and we can go in and just double check when you've done these grooves that they are not, you've not accidentally pushed them in too deep, or so that they go through. No, that looks great. Just 0.5 millimeters. 0.5 millimeters there. That's fine. You can see that's pretty square. That's good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. That's the completed candle house. If you wanted to, you could make another set of grooves going down this way vertically, and that would give the impression of tiles. So that'd be pretty much the same thing, but you would do it the other way around. There we go. When you make your model, you don't have to do it exactly the same as mine. Like, put the windows where you want them. You could even use different shape windows. You could use box windows and then rotate them 45 degrees, so you get kind of like diamond windows and things. Yeah, really experiment with it. And here's the finished candle house, fresh out of the printer. It's come out really nicely. A couple of little rough edges you can see here at the front, but that's easy enough. We've got some mini files that we can use to sort them out, neaten them up a little bit. Yeah, the roof tiles, roof slats rather. So yeah, when the candles arrive, that's gonna look really good. Proper job.